We are continuing the chapter Retirement of a Partner. Now we are moving on to the most important part of this chapter, that is adjustment of capitals. We had similar topic in the chapter admission also. There we had two methods of adjustment of capital. Here we have 4 to 5 methods of adjustment of capitals, which is almost similar to previous chapter, but there are some differences since here it is retirement of a partner instead of admitting a new partner. So here adjustment of capital will be done at the time of retirement of a partner when the remaining partners or continuing partners decide to adjust their capitals or to make their capitals in proportion to their profit sharing ratio. So some continuing partners will have to contribute additional capital, some will have to withdraw their capital from the firm to make it proportionate to their profit sharing ratio. So now we will discuss the first method under adjustment of capital. You can give the heading when new partners capital is given. Sorry, not when new partners, it's when total capital of the new firm is given in the question. You write the heading when total capital of the new firm is given or when total capital is given. So when total capital is given, do you remember the methods under admission? We had to first compute the total capital and there we applied one formula like new partners capital into reciprocal of his share under first method. So here the total capital is directly given. So you don't have to apply any formula to get the total capital, it's directly there in the question. So you just have to continue with the total capital. So if we have the total capital, what is the next step? What did we do there in the chapter admission? We just divided it in the new ratio. So here also we have to divide the total capital in the new ratio, and that amount or those amounts will be written as to balance carry down. Okay, so these will be the new capital balances, and after that what should we do? Find the balancing figure of the account, because to balance carry down means it is not the balancing figure. If there is a question with adjustment of capital, to balance carry down means it is the new capital balances. So after that you have to find the balancing figure of the account, which will be either written as to cash or to bank or by cash or by bank, depending on the question. If they ask you to open current account, you should write the balancing figure as to current account or by current account. If nothing is mentioned, you can write as to cash or by cash or to bank or by bank. Okay, so first method you don't have to study anything new because it is similar to your admission chapter. If there is total capital, you follow the same step. Divide it in the new ratio, those figures you write as to balance carry down. Okay, so that method you don't have to write anything else, just write the heading, that's enough. Then second one you give when total capital is not given. Okay, when total capital is not given, that means you will have to first compute the total capital. And can you apply that same formula for admission here? There it was new partners capital into reciprocal of his share. Here we don't have any new partner, isn't it? Here the existing partner is retiring from the firm. So we can't apply that particular formula. Here the formula for total capital, you take it down. Total capital is equal to adjusted capital of remaining partners or continuing partners. You don't have to multiply this with the reciprocal, nothing to be done. You just have to take the adjusted capital of remaining partners, and adjusted capital, you know, it is the balancing figure of remaining partners. If A and B are the remaining partners, suppose C is the person who retired from the firm and A and B are the remaining or continuing partners. So you will have to do adjusted capital, which means the balancing figures of A's and B's column you have to compute and add these two. Understood? So that is the adjusted capital, or it is the balancing figure of, but when you write the formula, don't write balancing figure of the partners, you must write it as adjusted capital of remaining partners. Okay, so that is how we are getting the total capital. Once you get the total capital, again steps are same. Divide it in the new ratio, those figures you will write as to balance carry down. So we will work out one problem based on this second case. We will do illustration 42. So illustration 42 given on page 6.46. There is one balance sheet, 3 partners L, M and N. So first of all you should identify which method is this. L, M and N, 3 partners are given, ratio is given, balance sheet is there. On the above date, N retired. Then goodwill of the firm was 6 lakhs. Land was to be appreciated by 40%. Then furniture to be depreciated. Liability is there for workman compensation. The last adjustment, that is capital of L and M, were to be adjusted in their new profit sharing ratio, and for this purpose current account of the partners will be opened. Current account will be opened means, are you going to prepare the partners current account? No, they are asking you to do revaluation, partners capital and the balance sheet. Usual question. Their current account to be opened means when you get the balancing figure finally, instead of writing to cash or to bank or by cash or by bank, in this particular question you should write it as to current account or by current account. Understood? Since it is specifically asked, or else you can write to cash or by cash. So we will start the question, and which method is this? Capital of L and M were to be adjusted. That means this is the question with adjustment of capital, and which method? There is no total capital in the question, isn't it? Which is missing in the question. That means this is method number 2, when total capital is not given. And you will have to apply this particular formula to get the total capital. So all these we will do at the time of partners capital. Now we can start revaluation account. There is no change in preparation of revaluation account. So draw the format. Go through adjustments now. Goodwill will be taken only in partners capital. So moving on to second one. Land was to be appreciated, increase in asset on the credit side, and it is given by. The prefix you have to note down very carefully. So here it is by. So 40%, directly you can compute on land 8 lakhs. So we will write by land. How much will you write? 8 lakhs into 40%. Understood? Since the prefix is by. So write 3,20,000. Then next adjustment, furniture to be depreciated by 30,000. Amount is directly given and the prefix is by. It is depreciation. So decrease in asset on the debit side, and the amount you directly write because the prefix is by. Then liability for workman compensation 1,60,000. So there is a new liability for the firm. So that is increase in liability. But will you record it in revaluation? Before recording in revaluation, you have to always see whether there is workman compensation fund or workman compensation reserve in the balance sheet. Here we have workman compensation fund or reserve for rupees 3,60,000. Did you see that? We have 3,60,000 fund. That means this liability can be met from this particular fund. So there is no new liability for the firm since you can meet this. If there is no fund, what will you do? You should take it as increase in liability, record it here on the debit side. Understood? So here we need not record. Then I missed one. Second adjustment, there is one more sentence. Building was to be depreciated by rupees 1 lakh. So again, depreciation in asset or decrease in asset, and see the prefix, it is by, so take the same. Yes, with that adjustments are over, the fifth one says like amount to be transferred to loan. That we already know, because the retiring partner's balancing figure will be always transferred to his loan account. But if it is said in the question like he is paid immediately, what will you write? You should write it as to cash or to bank. Yes, now your revaluation is over. You can just find the balancing figure. So here it is a gain on revaluation which we can distribute among partners. The gain you will get as, so write to gain or profit transferred to 3 partners L, M and N. M's capital 47,500 and N's capital 47,500. So that is 1,90,000. Okay. So now you write totals. Total is 3,20,000. Next we can start partners capital account. So always partners capital account must be started with the opening balance. So write it as by balance brought down. So that is opening balance is 6 lakhs, 4 lakh 80, 4 lakh 80. Next, what should we do? We have 4 steps to be covered in partners capital. We started with the opening balance. Now what should we do? You can go through your adjustments or you can go through balance sheet items. Final step is transfer profit or loss on revaluation. So now I am just going through the balance sheet. There is general reserve on the liabilities which we will distribute among old partners in old ratio. That means L, M and N. Among 3 partners we are going to divide. So here the old ratio is 2:1:1 and we are going to divide that 4,40,000. So each will be getting, that is by general reserve 2 lakh. You do calculation and find these figures, 2,20,000 and 1,10,000 each for other 2 partners. What are their names? LMN. So you can write their names, particulars and amount columns you write like this. Column headings you need to write. Then next one is workman compensation fund. 3,60,000 is there. Will you divide entire 3,60,000? No, you can't, because you have to meet your liability. So there is workman compensation liability for rupees 1,60,000, which you are going to take from this 3,60,000. So the balance 2 lakhs will divide among partners, and that too in their old ratio. So that will be 1,50,000, 50,000. Next is creditors, nothing to be done. Now asset side, see whether anything to be distributed like goodwill, P&L, debit balance, nothing is there. So moving on to adjustments. Goodwill of the firm is given 6 lakhs. What should we do first? Compute retiring partner's share. Here N is the retiring partner, his share is 1/4. So that will be 6 lakhs into 1/4. You can show this calculation as your working note. Goodwill calculation, leave space for completing partner's capital. Working note, you can do this. Goodwill will be 6 lakhs into 1/4. So that is 1,50,000, which you will divide in gaining ratio. And what is gaining ratio? It is no. Gaining ratio is no, means it's new ratio minus old ratio. So that's the easiest way for you to remember. So gain is always no. So here there is old ratio in the question, but we don't have any new ratio. Specifically they haven't given the new ratio. So what should we do? 2:1:1 is the old ratio. Partner N is retiring, and what will be the new ratio? You just have to strike off the retiring partner, and 2:1 will be the new ratio, and the gaining ratio also will be 2:1. Understood? Since new ratio is not specifically given, you just have to strike off and you can take the gaining ratio same as old ratio. But if there is new ratio in the question which is specifically mentioned, you should apply the formula for gaining ratio, that is new ratio minus old ratio. So now we will divide 1,50,000 in this particular ratio. So they will be getting 1,50,000. You just do the calculation. It will be 1,50,000 into 2/3 and then 1,50,000 into 1/3. Okay. So that will be 1,50,000 each, and the posting will be gaining partners capital account debtor to retiring partners capital account. So both sides you should do posting, that you must remember. Understood? So gaining partners debtor to retiring partner. Here gaining partners are L and M. So your posting will be L's capital debtor, M's capital debtor, 2N's capital. Similarly, you will have to do posting on the credit side also. So write 2N's capital and the amounts will be written in L and M's column. That is 1,50,000. Similarly, you can do on the credit side also. So that will be by L's capital and by M's capital, and the amounts will be written in N's column, 1,50,000. This is compound entry posting. Then what next is there? So now we are going through the adjustments. Okay, so workman compensation, all those we adjusted already. Next we can do transferring the profit or loss on revaluation. So now we started with the operating balance, then we referred adjustments, then we referred balance sheet items. Now we can transfer profit or loss on revaluation. So here it is a profit which will be taken to the opposite side. So you write by profit or by gain on revaluation, 95,000, 47,500, 47,500. Okay. Now we can start adjustment of capital, but adjustment of capital will be done only for your remaining partners L and M. N's column you can find the balancing figure as usual. Just compute the balancing figure for N, and that will be transferred to N's loan account. So N's balancing figure you will get as 8,37,500. See whether you are getting the same figure. So N's column directly you can find the balancing figure. No adjustment of capital needed for retiring partner. So that is 8,37,500. Now we will do adjustment of capital for L and M, and we know this is method number 2. So total capital here will be equal to, what's the formula we learned? Adjusted capital of remaining partners. Adjusted capital of remaining partners. Okay. So that is the balancing figure of L and M. So now you compute the balancing figure of L and M, but don't write it as 2 balance carry down. You can't directly write it as 2 balance carry down. Those figures will take as adjusted capitals. Okay. So compute the balancing figures of L and M now, and the balancing figures you will be getting as 9,15,000 and 6,37,500. You should do the calculations yourself, then only you will understand how did we get all these figures. Okay, so total capital will be 15,52,500. So that is the total capital which we will be dividing in new ratio. What's the new ratio? 2:1 is the new ratio, and we will divide this particular figure in 2:1 ratio, and those figures we will be writing as to balance carry down. Understood? So these are not the balancing figures. Balancing figures we applied in that formula, and now we divided the total capital in the new ratio, which we will be writing as to balance carry down, and the amounts are 10,35,000, 5,17,500. Is the question over? No, partners capital account is not over. Don't stop with this. These are the new capital balances or adjusted capital balances. Now what should we do? Compute the balancing figure. Is this the balancing figure? No. That we got by dividing the total capital in new ratio. So now we will find the balancing figure of this account, and that should be written as to current or by current. So now your balancing figure will be 2M's current account. For M, it's there on the debit side, so we will write 2M's current account, and the balancing figure is 1,20,000. Okay, this is the balancing figure. And for partner L, it is on the credit side. So write by L's current account, the amount is 1,20,000. Okay, so now the question is over. You can write totals. Totals are 11,35,000, 6,87,500, 8,37,500. Okay. So now your partner's capital is over. I hope you understood how to do adjustment of capitals. Calculations you do yourself so that you will understand. Then this L's current account, what should we do with this item in the balance sheet? It must be taken to the same side in the balance sheet. Understood? Because this is actually receivable amount. Receivable amount means it is an asset. It must be recorded on the asset side. You leave the concept, that is the concept. It is receivable, so it must come on the asset side. Other than that, what you can do easily is just take this figure to the same side in the balance sheet. Same side means it will come on the asset side. And M's current, which is appearing on the left side, should go to the same side in the balance sheet. That means to the liability side. Okay, so now we will do balance sheet. So write balance sheet as at is the opening date of the balance sheet given. Okay, it's given like on 1st April 2013, so you write that same date, 1st April 2013. It's given on the top. Did you see after the ratio, the date is given on 1st April 2013. So the same date you can write for the balance sheet. So now we can, how you prepare the new balance sheet, you have to refer the old balance sheet. Along with that, go through adjustments. See whether there are any increase or decrease in assets and liabilities. Then sometimes there will be new assets and new liabilities. So all these you have to consider. Capital balances we will write first because that's the first item in your old balance sheet. But now when you write, from where will you take the new balances of capital? These will be written as to balance carry down. These are your new capital balances. Understood? 2 balance carried on means this is your new capital balance. So, this figure you should write in your balance sheet. And now when you write capital balances, you will have only 2 partners because the partner N retired. So, you can write capital accounts L and M, 10,35,000 and 5,17,500. See, if you want, you can directly write these 2 figures in the outer column, or else write in the inner column first, then write the total in the outer column. Total is 15,52,500. The next item is general reserve, which we distributed. Workmen compensation fund also we distributed. Creditors we have to write. There is no change in creditors. So, take the same amount and write 2,40,000. Okay. Now, you should go through the adjustments, see whether we have any new liability. You have goodwill, then land, building, furniture. Liability for workmen compensation. So, that is workmen compensation claim 1,60,000, which is a new liability that should be recorded in the new balance sheet. Yes. So, adjustments are over. Now, you have to refer your partner's capital account also. Partner's capital account, you have written something like N's loan. Here, we haven't written capital account for N because he retired. Instead of that, something else will appear, that is N's loan account. What is N's loan account amount? 8,37,500. Similarly, something else will come from your partner's capital that I told you already, that M's current account, which appeared on the debit side, now should be taken to the same side, that is to the liability side of the balance sheet. So, M's current account amount is 1,20,000. So, now your liability side is over. Okay. So, what you have to do is you should go through the old balance sheet, along with that you read adjustments, then you will have to record the retiring partner's loan account, and if there is current account, that also will appear on the liability side. Now, on the asset side, so again you look into the old balance sheet, we have land and there is appreciation for land. So, land will be, it's 8 lakhs plus 3,20,000. So, that will be 11,20,000. Then, building, there is depreciation. So, building value was 6 lakhs less depreciation. How much is your depreciation? That is 1 lakh. So, it is 5 lakhs. Then, furniture is there. Furniture amount is 2,40,000. Furniture also has depreciation 30,000. So, that is 2,10,000. Next is debtors. Debtors, is there any change? No debtors, no change. So, you can write the same. Debtors less provision we will write. So, debtors 4 lakhs less provision 20,000. So, that is 3,80,000. Stock, for stock also there is no change, cash also the same. So, stock and cash the same, 4,40,000 and cash is 1,40,000. Now, we will refer adjustments, land, furniture, liabilities. You have to see whether we have any new asset in the adjustments. Here we don't have any new asset. Goodwill, don't write it here. Goodwill already we distributed among partners. Understood? Don't write goodwill as asset. Yes. So, now we finished adjustments, but there is one item on the credit side of partners capital, which is else current. So, take it to the same side and else current account amount is 1,20,000. Now you just add your asset side and liability side, see whether your balance sheet will tally. So here it is 29,10,000, that is the balance sheet total. Okay. So this is how you have to do comprehensive question. For board exam you will be getting for 8 marks one comprehensive question with adjustment of capital. It will be or question, so admission or retirement, that is the usual pattern. So both will be with adjustment of capital, so you can't skip this particular portion. Okay, so I hope you understood how to do adjustment of capitals. It will be difficult in the beginning, so you take some time, watch this particular video 2 to 3 times, so that you will get an idea. Okay.